Hong Kong, 1965. The air is thick with humidity and expectation. Inside a cramped studio on the city's edge, a film crew assembles under harsh tungsten lights. The set is dressed to look like something from a fever dream. Bamboo bars, straw scattered across concrete. And in the corner, pacing with slow, deliberate menace, a full-grown Bengal tiger. This is not a metaphor. This is not Hollywood trickery. This is a real predator, brought here for a single scene in a low-budget martial arts film that most people will never remember. But what happens next will become the kind of story that refuses to die. The kind that gets whispered in dojos, repeated in interviews, turned into legend. Bruce Lee stands off to the side, watching. He is 24 years old, not yet famous, not yet a symbol, just a young martial artist who moved back to Hong Kong after failing to break into American television. He is lean, focused, and eerily still. The crew avoids his gaze. There is something about him that makes people uncomfortable. Not because he is aggressive, but because he is always watching, always calculating, always 3 steps ahead of everyone in the room. The director approaches him, a middle-aged man with a cigarette hanging from his lips and a script rolled in his fist. He explains the scene. Bruce will enter the cage. The tiger will be drugged, he assures him. Sedated enough to be safe, awake enough to look dangerous. Bruce will perform a brief sequence. A few movements. A display of fearlessness. Then they will cut, and it will be over. Bruce listens without expression. He does not ask if the tiger is really sedated. He does not ask what happens if it wakes up. He simply nods, and the crew begins to prepare. Across the studio, the tiger's handler stands near the cage. He is a thick-shouldered man with scars on his forearms and a reputation for working with animals no one else will touch. He has done this 100 times. Bears, leopards, crocodiles. He knows how to read a predator. He knows the exact dosage needed to keep them docile without killing them. He has never lost control. But today, something is different. The tiger has been pacing for the last 20 minutes. Its pupils are not as dilated as they should be. Its breathing is shallow but steady. The handler notices this. He considers saying something, but the director is already barking orders. The lights are heating up. The crew is impatient. So he says nothing. He tells himself it will be fine. Bruce removes his shirt. His body is a study in efficiency. No bulk, no wasted muscle, just function carved into flesh. He steps toward the cage, and the crew falls silent. Even the tiger stops pacing. It watches him, not with curiosity, not with fear, with something closer to recognition. The cage door opens. Bruce steps inside. The door closes behind him with a metallic clang that echoes through the studio. For a moment, nothing happens. Bruce stands in the center of the cage, hands loose at his sides, eyes locked on the animal in front of him. The tiger sits on its haunches, tail flicking slowly. It is massive, over 400 pounds, claws the length of a man's finger, jaws that could crush a human skull without effort. The director calls action. Bruce begins to move. Slow, controlled, each step deliberate. He is not performing for the camera. He is speaking a language older than words, a language of space and timing and presence. The tiger does not move. It watches. Bruce shifts his weight. The tiger's ears twitch. He takes another step. The tiger's muscles coil. And then it happens. The sedation wears off. Not gradually. All at once. The tiger's eyes sharpen. Its body tenses. And in a single, explosive motion, it lunges. The crew freezes. Someone shouts. The handler reaches for the cage door, but he is too far away. The cameras keep rolling because no one has the presence of mind to stop them. And in that instant, Bruce Lee does something that defies every instinct a human being is born with. He does not run. He does not flinch. He moves forward, not toward the tiger, into the space the tiger is about to occupy. He reads the arc of its lunge before it completes. He sees the angle of its claws before they extend. And in the fraction of a second between intent and action, he is already gone. The tiger's paw slashes through empty air. Its body crashes into the bars Bruce was standing in front of. The impact shakes the entire cage. Bruce is behind it now, not attacking, not retreating, just existing in the one place the tiger cannot reach. The animal spins, snarling, and lunges again. Bruce moves, not with panic, not with speed born from fear, with the kind of precision that only comes from absolute clarity. He is not thinking. He is responding. Water moving around stone. The tiger lunges a third time. Bruce shifts again. This time, he places his hand on the animal's flank as it passes. Not a strike, a touch, a reminder. The tiger lands, whirls around, and for the first time, hesitates. It stares at him. Bruce stares back, and something unspoken passes between them. The tiger sits. Its breathing slows. It does not attack again. The handler finally reaches the cage. He throws the door open and pulls Bruce out. The crew erupts into chaos, shouting, cursing, disbelief. But Bruce is silent. He puts his shirt back on and walks to the edge of the set. He lights a cigarette. His hands are steady. Later, when the footage is reviewed, the director will see something no one else noticed in the moment. In every frame where the tiger lunges, Bruce's eyes are open, unblinking, calm. There is no trace of fear, no adrenaline-fueled reaction, just pure, disciplined awareness. The kind that cannot be taught, only earned. That night, in a small apartment in Kowloon, Bruce sits alone. He does not tell his wife what happened. He does not call his students. He simply sits in silence, replaying the encounter in his mind. Not with pride, not with relief, with understanding. Because what happened in that cage was not about martial arts. It was about philosophy made flesh. For years, Bruce had been teaching a concept he called the art of fighting without fighting. His students thought it was a metaphor, a poetic way of describing strategy. But Bruce knew it was literal. True mastery is not about overpowering an opponent. It is about never being where the attack lands. It is about responding without thought, moving without intention, becoming formless. The tiger did not lose because Bruce was stronger. It lost because Bruce was not there. Every time it attacked a position Bruce had already vacated. Every time it anticipated his movement, he had already changed. The tiger was fighting its own expectations, and expectations can never win. This is the part most people miss. They hear the story and think it is about bravery, about facing danger head-on. But Bruce was not brave. He was awake. Bravery implies fear overcome. Bruce had no fear to overcome. He saw reality as it was. A tiger, a cage, a series of angles and distances and possibilities. And he responded to reality, not to the idea of reality, not to the story he told himself about what might happen, to what was actually happening, in real time, without filter. This is what separates philosophy from performance. Anyone can talk about being like water, about adapting, about letting go of rigidity. But when the tiger lunges, all the words disappear. There is only the body's response. And the body only responds the way it has been trained. Bruce trained his body to be honest, to move without ego, to act without the weight of identity. And when the moment came, his body did what it had been trained to do. It survived. The crew never spoke of it publicly. The footage was buried. The film was never released. But the story spread. Other martial artists heard it. Stuntmen, actors, students. And each time it was told, it changed slightly. Some said Bruce fought the tiger. Some said he tamed it. Some said the whole thing was staged. But the people who were there knew the truth. They saw something that could not be faked. They saw a man step into chaos and emerge untouched. Not because he was lucky, because he was prepared. Years later, Bruce would say that the most dangerous opponent is not the one who is stronger or faster. It is the one who believes their own story. The tiger believed it was the apex predator. It believed the cage was its territory. It believed Bruce was prey. And every one of those beliefs made it predictable. Bruce had no beliefs. He only had awareness. And awareness cannot be cornered. This is the lesson no one wants to hear. That the stories we tell ourselves are the bars of our own cage. That confidence is often just another word for blindness. That the moment you decide who you are, you become easy to defeat. Bruce did not decide who he was in that cage. He simply was. And that made him untouchable. The tiger never attacked another person. It was retired shortly after. Some say it was too dangerous. Others say it had lost its edge. But those who saw the footage believe something else. They believe the tiger learned the same lesson Bruce already knew. That dominance is an illusion. That control is temporary. That the only real power is the power to adapt. Bruce Lee never went back into a cage with a tiger. He did not need to. The point had been made. Not to the crew. Not to the audience. To himself. He had tested his philosophy against the oldest, purest form of danger. And his philosophy had held. Not because it was beautiful. Not because it was clever. Because it was true. The story ends the way all true stories end. Quietly, without fanfare, Bruce Lee walked out of that studio and continued his life. He made more films, taught more students, built the legend that would outlive his body. But in his mind, the cage was always there. A reminder, a benchmark, a moment when everything he believed was put to the test and nothing broke. They locked Bruce Lee in a tiger's cage. And 5 seconds later, the only thing that shattered was the illusion that the tiger was ever in control.